Hello everyone, welcome back. Today is May 5th of 2020, May 5th. We're still in Unit 8 and we're going to continue with it. But before that, let me briefly go over what we did in our last video, or last week's video. So in Unit 8, we first talked about identifying jobs and occupations of a person, right? So if you remember, it was page 96 of your student book where we looked at a picture and tried to identify what each person in the picture's occupation was or jobs. So at a restaurant, or not just a restaurant, sorry. So in general, when we try to identify a person's occupation, we try to get information, correct? We see their clothing. We look at their actions. We look at what kind of objects they're holding onto. And then we try to see how they talk sometimes, if we're there. So the first thing is we look, and then so in that student book, in that page 96, the picture, it was in a restaurant setting, and then we see this person cooking at a restaurant, and then we see this person taking orders from a customer, and we see this person eating a food, but is wearing a very unique clothing. I'm going to explain that. So let's get back to the person who's cooking. So the person who's cooking at a restaurant, his or her occupation would be a cook, a person who cooks, right? And then a person who is taking order or serving drinks or food, they're called server. And then if it's a female or a female, you call them also. You can also call them a waitress. If it's a male, you can call them a waiter. And then I said about the a unique clothing, right? So for example, at a restaurant table, there's a person who's wearing a white coat, or a blue scrubs. So if you don't know what blue scrubs is, S-C-R-U-B-S, those are usually what doctors wear for surgery. And a white coat, usually I think that's in general, like everyone knows what a white coat is. That's when a doctor, that's what doctor wears when they're not in the surgery. So a white coat. But if they just finished with doing a surgery, they usually have a scrubs on. It's like a blue. But yeah, so we try to identify people's occupation by just observing them, by their action, what they're wearing, and how they talk. So we learned about a variety of occupations. So teachers, lawyers, engineers, governor, mayor, police officer, firefighter, server, and then if you remember what we learned in grocery shopping, which was unit 7, I think. Yeah, unit 7. Then we have a cashier, a stock clerk, a variety of occupations. And then the reason we talked about jobs and occupation, and obviously it's about unit 8, but sometimes when you're having a conversation with someone else, or you just talk in general, sometimes they're curious about you. So they want to know what your occupation was or is. It's like, and then it's trying to connect yourself to that person, other person, right? In a way. even though you don't know them very well. So for example, if I meet you for the first time, I'm just gonna have a casual talk, and then I'll be like, oh, hey, so what do you do for a living? So then they say, oh, I was a student a month ago, but now I'm a doctor, right? So here I want to mention that, so we learned something about using a simple present, I believe, simple present. Oh, sorry. The simple past of be verb. So it was and were. So wasn't and weren't. So as I said before, if it's a past, I was a student, but now I'm a doctor. So that's the way you can introduce. I mean, you can talk about your occupation. So we have to use, and then when I ask a question, were you a doctor? Were you a doctor? So that's like in the past. So that's a formal way of asking questions in the past form. And then, so yeah, we learn how to use that to talk about your occupations in the present and in the past. So, and then, so they were students before, now they are doctors, and then we were able to use different pronouns. Yeah. So now going back to this, so today, this is part 1 of today's video. We're going to learn on the word can, and then we're going to use it. I'm going to talk about its grammar usage. So the word can, as I've written here, is ability to do something. So for example, and then we have to use, if it's ability to do something, we have to say it with a verb. So I can play piano. I can sing a country song. I can drive a car, That means you have the ability to drive an actual car, right? And you can actually sing a country song. So the example I have here is, for example, first one, I can speak English. I can speak English. So I have the ability to speak English. Number 2, I can play tennis. I have the ability to play tennis. Number 3, I can't speak Spanish. Here is a negative form of can. So can't. So here, I don't have the ability to speak Spanish, right? So can and can't. Remember, you have to know the difference. So now, we can use this to make statements and ask questions. So in statements form is the same thing here that I just did here. So statements with using different nouns. So here I use he. So he can cook. He can cook. So we have can plus a verb. She can drive a car. She can drive a car. They can fix a computer. They can fix a computer. So we can make statements. I can do something. I have the ability to do something. And then you can, here we have different pronouns. I, you, he, she, they. And depending on which pronouns you use, the rule slightly changes. And then, so now we're going to try to make questions. So these are statements. I'm going to make questions with them. So now, can you cook? Can you cook? And the way I answer is, it can be yes or no. but I'm gonna give you an example for yes here. Yes, I can. Very simple. So can you cook? Yes, I can. So here we have to ask, use a pronoun you, and then that person have to say, use a pronoun I. Can you cook? Yes, I can. Now, I'm gonna ask about driving a car. So, can she drive a car? Let's say she can't. It's no, she can't. So very simple. If you can notice, so you have to say yes. This is a no, yes or no question. So you have to say yes or no first, and then you have to say if she, if he or she or whatever the pronoun you use, if that person has the ability or not, you have to confirm it. So here is yes, I can. So it's confirming that that person or I have the ability, and here she doesn't have the ability, so she can't. That's what they're saying. So make sure the pronouns match. And then here, can they fix the computer? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. So gotta make sure the pronouns are matching here. Can they? So it's plural. So yes, they can. And then remember that can't is the same thing as cannot. It's a shortened form of it. So, but when you want to say it and then write it down, can't, it will be it's shorter, so it's easier to work with. So so basically, this is also the reason we're learning about the grammar can plus the verb, is because it goes with the unit unit A, which is about work. So if you're in a certain job or a certain occupation, you must have that ability, right? So some people are gonna ask you, if you're a doctor, can you treat a patient, you know? And then you, if you're a doctor, you can say, yes, I can. But if you're a teacher, you wouldn't want to say, you can't treat a patient. Your occupation is a teacher. You're supposed to teach a student or a kid. So in that case, you have to say, no, I can't. So this is another way of asking or having a conversation about your job or occupation. Okay. Okay. So now that we kind of understand how to use the word can with the verb, as I said before, it's useful to make a conversation in order to check someone's ability. So here, let me ask you this. Can a doctor cook in his job? Can a doctor cook in his job? This is also yes or no question. So what does a doctor usually do? He treats a patient, right? So if they're sick, they're ill, or they're hurt, they got in a car accident, doctors are supposed to help them get better, right? But here, the verb is, can a doctor cook in his job? So when they're working, can they cook? Cook as in like, can they prepare food? So if you think about the doctor's occupation, the answer has to be no. No. And then, can a doctor cook in his job? Oh, I said his. Sorry. His. Can a doctor cook in his job? So so it's a male doctor, so I said no, he can't. Can't. Right? So now the second question. Can a cashier check out a customer? So here we have a doctor. Oh, doctor, sorry. And we have a cashier here. A cashier. So what does a cashier do? When a customer or is done eating or is ready to pay for whatever the service they received, they go to a cashier to pay for it, right? And then the cashier receives the money for that service. So can a cashier check out a customer? Of course, yes. That's their job, that's their occupation, to receive money from a customer after they've finished giving service. And it could be from a grocery store, restaurant, or salon, massage parlor, anywhere. So yes. Yes. Let's say here, I don't know if it's a he or she, so I'm gonna say yes. Okay. So if I said, or here I can just say yes. Let's do this instead of cashier. Can a cashier check out a customer? Yes. Forget about this. Oh, no. Let's forget about this part. What you can do is just yes. Cashier. Cashier can. Sorry about that. So, can a cashier check out a customer? Yes, a cashier can. Because that's their job. That's their occupation. So, getting back to our topic, we use the word can and then plus verb to, as I said before, to see if they have the ability. If that person has ability to do something. So for jobs and occupation, this is very important because eventually this is the question that they want to get to, and then this is what you need to answer. So basically, what can you do? And here the can, this question, what can you do? It's checking one's ability to do something. So it's especially important in a job interview. So if you're a doctor, you need to know how to treat a patient, right? Depending on their depending on their where they're hurt, right? So if they have a headache, or if they're coughing, if they're bleeding or not, depending on those situations, they have to know, what they're doing. So this is what we're trying to get to. What can you do? What can you do? And it's really important in the job, and when you're in a job interview, to trying to get a job. So now, we know how to identify certain jobs and occupations, and we know how to use the grammar can, the word can. So I want you to do this quick exercise right here. I'll try to pause the video and then try to do it on your own. It just, I want you to read the statements and then write down the occupation or job that matches them, okay? And then resume it once you're done. Okay, assuming that you're done, I'm gonna go over this. So, I can teach kids new things at school. So here the verb is teach. So who teaches? It's a teach kids new things at school. Simple, right? a teacher. I can serve you food and drinks. Serve. So here the verb is teach, here's serve. So what's the occupation that serves people, especially with food and drinks? It's what we learned recently. A server. Server. I can treat you when you're ill or hurt. Who can treat when you're ill or hurt? A doctor. Oh, a doctor. I can grow vegetables and fruit on my farm. Grow vegetables and fruit on my farm. Farmers. A farmer. Finally, I can catch thieves and robbers. Thieves and robbers, those are people who try to steal your things. Steal. So I'm gonna like steal this board, even though it's not mine. That's stealing. But I'm talking about, it says I can catch thieves and robbers. So it's a police officer. Or hold on a second. It's hard to write like this. Police officer. It's O-F-F-I-C-E-R. A police officer. Yeah. So anyway, I hope this exercise was pretty helpful. This will be it for part 1 of today's video, May 5th of 2020. Thank you for watching.